Hey y'all, it's Jim for Small Time Outlaws, bringing you the first video in my advanced programming in Monkey tutorial series. If you're watching this, I guess that means you've either finished the beginning series or you're already pretty comfortable with Monkey. You want to kind of get a grasp of some of the more advanced features. So either way, welcome. In the first few videos, I'm going to be covering some of the advanced features of classes extensively in Monkey. So if you're not too familiar with creating objects, you might want to check out the Intro to Objects videos in the beginning series. But otherwise, let's get started. So in this first video, we're going to be learning about inheritance. And no, I'm not talking about the money you get when your grandma dies. I'm talking about when one class or object inherits the features of another object in an object-oriented programming language such as Monkey. So let's go ahead and open up Monk and get started with a brand new main function. Actually, we're going to start out above and we're going to create a couple classes. And borrowing from the previous objects videos, I'm going to use the student class to start and just real quickly recreate some of the fields we had before, which was string, age, gender, and GPA. And now what we're going to do is create another class, and since seems we're in this school environment, we're going to create a class teacher. And then we're going to think of some of the properties of teachers. They happen to share some with students, such as, teachers have names, teachers have ages, teachers have genders, and teachers, well, they don't have GPAs, so let's think of something. Let's go with teacher's salary, and that can be a float. Now when you look at this, you're going to want to think, well, this is not right, especially if you're trying to set up a proper structure for an object-oriented program. So when you find that you have these fields in common, you probably want to stop and go, okay, I should probably have these objects inherit from another object that has these properties in it, so you're not rewriting these fields, and then when later on you want to change one, you got to change in all of them. So what we'll do is we'll think, okay, what do students and teachers have in common? Well, they're people, right? So we're going to have them inherit from the class person. And in this class person, we're going to have all of the properties of a person that all people have in common, not just students and teachers. And in this case, all people have names, all people have ages, and all people have genders. So we're going to take those out, stick them in the person class, and do the same thing with here, take you out. So now the only thing that's separating students and teachers are something that typically separates students and teachers, where students have their grade point average and teachers have their salaries. Now to tell Monkey that I want to use the properties in this person class, use the extends keyword, which tells Monkey you want to extend a class, or you want to borrow everything from one class and then continue on with the stuff you add to the new class. So now when you create your student, create a student real fast, just a local student1 student, assign new student. And you'll notice I didn't actually create a constructor for student. You don't have to. If you don't have anything if you don't have any code you want to run when you create a student, you don't have to actually create the constructor for it. What Monkey will do is just insert an empty constructor into the translated code. So you don't have to worry about that. And then we'll create a teacher. We'll call them teacher1. Teacher is a new teacher. Okay, so now what happens if you try to access, okay, I got student 1, I want to change student 1's name to be something, like before, like Billy. What's going to happen? It's going to go to the student class, look for this field name. It's going to say, oh, I don't see any field name, but look here, okay, I see you're extending from person, so I'm going to go check person, see if there's a name field in there, and there is, and it sets it. And the same thing happens with the teacher. You set teacher1 name to Mr. Billyson. Okay, clean that up a little bit. Okay, now let's say you do want to have a constructor, and in this constructor you want to initialize, we'll say name. So let's create the constructor for the base person, and we'll pass in the name string, and we'll set self.name to name. Close that off, and we'll get rid of this. Now what you might be thinking is, well, if I call new student, pass in a name, it should look here for a constructor and then go on to the where it extends and call that constructor. Well, unfortunately, it's not how it works in Monkey. As you see, I try to do it. There's no overload for new, so you can't do constructors that way. But you still want to initialize this name variable. You want to do other things inside the person constructor. Well, the easiest way to do that is going to create your constructor in your student. You're going to pass in the name. Now, to call the constructor of its parent class or person, I'm going to use the super keyword, and this is kind of like self in that, you know, with self you're accessing itself within itself, and then with the super you're accessing the person class within itself or its parent class within itself. And so you're going to call super.new, which is its constructor, and then pass in this name variable that's coming in, and it's going to initialize it. And just so you can see that it really does, we're going to print student1.aim and run that. Oops. Fix that, and there you see, printed off Billy after it initialized it. And this super doesn't just apply to constructor. You can use it to call any methods up in the super class or the parent class. So you can say set gender and pass in some gender. Oops, on yourself. Ugh. Gender, assign gender. Oh my gosh. And then you can say super.gender. Whoops. Or you can do super.gender. Or you can do super.set gender, and we'll set it to 1 for email, and then just run that for fast so you can see that it works. I think that's all I wanted to cover with inheritance. I think that's really all there is to it. It's not so bad, right? And so I hope you learned something, and don't forget, you can email me at jim@smalltimeoutlaws.com, or you can leave some comments down below if you have any questions. And we'll see you in the next video.